Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm the CEO of the HOALiving companies. And while we are waiting I can see our participants entering into the presentation, I'd like to welcome you to our Corporate Transparency Act, Town Hall, otherwise known as Beneficial Ownership Information Reporting. A thrilling topic to end our Wednesday afternoon. I have tired eyes at the end of today, so I'm going to put the glasses on so I can see a little bit better. And it looks like the participants have slowed down. And so we'll get into a presentation. I don't think we'll be more than 30 minutes today. And then as you have questions, you're welcome to type them into the chat. I'm joined by our CBO, Sarah Crawford, today, who we have appointed to be our CTA czar, and she'll be monitoring the chat. If it's a simple question that really doesn't affect everybody, she'll put that in there. Otherwise, she'll save the questions and ask them at the end. Then we'll have a little open mic time before we conclude. And so with that, let's get going, and we'll talk about Corporate Transparency Act. I already see a raised hand, so I don't know, Sarah, if you want to reach out via chat or what we're doing there, but I'll go ahead and start our presentation. Okay, so the Corporate Transparency Act was passed a couple of years ago. I'm going to just changing my screens a little bit so I can see everything that's going on. Thanks for your patience. Was passed in 2021 by Congress, which is pretty amazing because Congress passes literally hardly anything every year. But they passed the Corporate Transparency Act, known as CTA or the Act. It requires all businesses, including community associations, to register with the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN. The act is created to help law enforcement prevent, identify, and combat financial crimes like money laundering, fraud, and funding of terrorism. All things that we all think of immediately, oh, community associations are involved in. Okay, no one thinks that. And what happened is I have personally sat at the desk of U.S. senators and representatives in Washington, D.C. to ask, what were you thinking when it came to this bill? Community associations and several other business types were not contemplated, but were caught up and thrown into this bucket with all other businesses. And so community associations, as a result, have to report information about their beneficial owners to FinCEN, which is a bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury. What is a beneficial owner? Well, the Act defines that, and it means that you might have some substantial control of the business unit, the association. One is a senior officer. The individual, so a board or an officer, board member or officer of a community association. The individual has authority to appoint or remove certain officers or a majority of directors of a community association. So we have developer-controlled community associations, still hasn't turned over. And those folks, that board, has beneficial owner status. The individual is an important decision maker, or the individual has any other form of substantial control over the community association. In the association world, we've got declarants. So not only are builder declarants, they have board members appointed to represent the association. Also, the senior officers of their companies would be considered beneficial owners prior to turnover. All board members, builders, if they own 25% or more of platted recorded lots in the community. So a developer has 100 lots. 74 of them have been sold to owners. They've turned over the association already, which is rare, but they have. And that builder owns 26 more lots of the 100. Even though they're not the board of the association any longer, they're a beneficial owner. And any lot or unit owners. We have, and typically smaller communities, there might be 20 units in a condo building, let's say, and one entity owns 6 of them. But they're not on the board, or they are on the board, doesn't matter. They are a beneficial owner. All these individuals are required to register as beneficial owners. Unfortunately, the sanctions, the penalties in this act are a little bit ridiculous. And failure to comply with the new requirements can result in civil and criminal penalties. Penalties that can include up to $500 per day and criminal penalties of up to 2 years of prison and fines up to $10,000. Completely ridiculous in the community association world, but that's what the penalties are. What are we doing? What is HOALiving doing and helping do to get rid of this requirement? They have attacked this on several fronts. Legislation, directly to the Secretary of the Treasury, and through a lawsuit. We are proud members of CAI. I myself sit on the Board of Trustees. I'm a national and international faculty member, and I'm a member of the U.S. Government and Public Affairs Committee that handles federal issues. We are working this through that system every possible way. As a company, what have we done in preparation for now this D-Day, if you will, in March? So there was a ruling by the National Small Business Association that they sued the government and they won. And unfortunately, what it said in that ruling is only members of the NSBA get to be exempted from filing these reports. And so we sent out a little letter about that in our Community Scoop newsletter, an article about that in March. In June, we began training our staff. On Monday, July 29th, we sent an email to all of the current board members of our managed communities. On Friday, August 9th, we sent an email to all board members came from the community manager. So sometimes when we send a big blast out, it doesn't get to everyone. So we had the manager send it out directly on August 9th. And then in September, we onboarded a specialized secured platforms for submitting on behalf of our clients. As a business owner myself, I have gone to the government's website and I have attempted to register my businesses through the government's website. And no shock to anyone, I'm sure, it was a painful experience. So we look for a third-party software that would integrate and upload to the government. Last month, we began training and we did sample registrations with our community managers. We wanted them to understand the process that we need you to go through on behalf of your community associations. Then last week on October 29th, we emailed all board members filing details and announced this town hall meeting today. We apologize, the first communication had this town hall yesterday, and there were some other things going on yesterday. Town hall today. Then on Friday, November 15th, maybe a day before or a day after, you will get a secure email or email with secure links to submit the information to the government through our third-party provider. It's basic, name, address, and you have to upload a picture of photo proof of who you are, passport, driver's license, those kind of items. Which is another reason why we just didn't want to gather this and submit it for you, because of the secured nature of the information that you are providing. Between November 16th and December 31st, which is our deadline for you to get registered for the first time, we will be doing daily monitoring of your submittals and follow-ups to prevent sanctions or penalties. So on December 16th, there's 5 board members in your community. 4 of you upload immediately. There's 1 left. We will begin contacting that 1 board member to make sure that they get their information into the system. Beyond 2025, or starting January 1st, 2025 and beyond, what are we going to do? Well, the statute requires mandated updates are submitted within 30 days of any changes. So our software, secure software portal that we have hired to do this for us and you, will keep track of your driver's license expiring in May of 2026. And it will send out emails and notify us that your document you use to prove who you are is expiring and to get the new information uploaded. We have 30 days if you resign from the board. If someone's appointed to the board, whenever there's an election, we have 30 days to get those changes uploaded to the government. The biggest problem with the government, going directly to the government, is you don't create a login and you can go in and see your association and see all the information. Even your own information, you don't see what you submitted before. So through our third-party system, it tracks all those things. And we are committed to continuing to fight through CAI on behalf of all community associations. Our goal as a company is to get rid of community associations being a part of the Corporate Transparency Act altogether. What can we do? CAI has, I alluded to it earlier, has a 3-pronged approach. 1, the Board of Trustees that I'm a member of authorized $500,000 towards legal fees to sue the federal government on behalf of all community associations to get community associations to be exempt from the act. Unfortunately, the first part, a preliminary injunction, was issued. The ruling was issued last week. And our request to make it so we wouldn't even have to do this first round was not granted by the court. But this was just a preliminary injunction. So one morning of testimony, and go to the judge and say, look, we shouldn't be in this, just let us out. The judge said, well, it looks like we have enough for a case here, but I'm not going to give a preliminary injunction. So associations will have to do the filing before the January 1st, 2025 deadline. It's not what we wanted, but this is a first round attempt, and the judge admitted several times, got the government's attorneys to admit several times that the community association industry's case for not being a part of CTA is different than the other dozen plus lawsuits that are out there currently of organizations trying to get removed from CTA. Remember, I mentioned that the National Small Business Association members had been opted out, but that ruling specifically said only members of that association would be exempted. Didn't do all small businesses. We're also working on regulatory advocacy. So we can go to, we've had ongoing discussions with the Treasury Department and telling them and answering questions that, look, associations are not involved in money laundering, terrorist financing. It would be pretty impossible for that to happen. And so we're trying to say, hey, just exempt us. You have the power to do it. Just exempt us. That's ongoing. And nothing yet. Actually, the Treasury Department doubled down and wrote a memo saying, hear, community associations must register like everyone else. House Bill 9045 in the U.S. Congress passed. It passed. No, it passed on the Senate side. Passed on the Senate side, and now the House has it. They have not been working on legislation last month, as they've all been up for re-election, right, in the campaign season. There's still a little bit of time left before this session of Congress ends. The likelihood is not great that they will pass this. It'd be awesome if they did, but then that would, through this is the only legislation out there that would exempt one particular. All the other legislation that's been proposed is to kind of end the CTA altogether. And but this legislation that passed the Senate and is now in the House as 9045 would exempt community associations from the act. So we're suing the federal government. We're going directly to Treasury Department and working on a legislative correction. I will tell you that our attorneys have told us that, or the staff has told us that is working with the Treasury Department, that because of the lawsuit, the Treasury Department is a little bit more in communication than they were prior. So we will continue through CI to advocate and support all of these things. There's that update. How can you, as individual community association members, be involved and help? One, stay informed on CI's case against the federal government. Donate to CI's legal fund to help cover litigation costs. Contact your local representatives to express support to exempt community associations from the CTA. That's what that QR code there is specifically, it'll route you through, you put in your address, it knows that you're in the Minnesota 3rd District, and it'll bring up your representative to send an email to exempt and draft email. Join CAI altogether and donate to your state's legislative action committee. $2 per door is the recommendation. Now, this isn't a state issue. This is a federal issue. But as we're funneling money for this federal fight, the states are helping do that. And so they're your donations help in all those causes. As HOALiving companies, we have suggested and made it part of our management agreement for each association to have at least one CI membership. If you look at the bottom there, you can add a second board member for 90 extra, third through 15th board member for only 185. So if you put the whole board, it's a cheap price comparatively. But if we always send an email and give you the option of opting out of joining CAI. And some associations do that, about 17%, and that's fine. The ruling for the National Small Business Association was that only members of that organization were exempted from the CTA. So if we go along, and we would hope, if we look at the timing of their lawsuit, we would hope by the end of 2025, we will have the full hearing and the full judge's ruling. And although we've asked for all community associations to be exempted, CI is not every association is a member of CI, and therefore the judge could do the same thing. It's different judge, different district, but could say, yes, member associations in CAI are exempt from the CTA. Okay, so when you get those emails, if you've already opted out and said, hey, thanks, we're not interested in a membership, and you want to change your mind based on this CTA discussion, please reach back out to us. Then there's also the legislative advocacy fund for your states, $2 per door. 95% of our clients agree to do this. And so if you want to up that donation, or if you opted out and want to give now, please let us know. Talked a lot about CI and all these resources. They have dedicated pages just for our fight against the Corporate Transparency Act. And so please scan that QR code, and you can find out about the lawsuit and FAQs about the lawsuit against the federal government. A guidance document. You can get information, FAQs about from FinCEN, the government agency. And there's if you're an owner, board member, which you are, if you are probably, you've been invited to this presentation today, then there's some reporting outreach and education toolkit there, relevant articles, a white paper, and some letters, and all the links to reach out to Congress and all the things that we're doing. So please note that there are 1,000 things that, as your management partner, we would rather be doing for you than worrying about the CTA. But it is what it is. We could not prevent it for this year, but personally and as a company, we are doing everything we can to make it go away in the future. But the time is now. We can't wait any longer. And management companies all over the country are having these same kind of meetings with their clients, because now we've got to get the information in to the government so no one goes to prison for 2 years, which seems asinine to me, but it is what it is. If you have questions that come up later, then please email them to manager@hoaliving.com or give us a call at our corporate office that is handling the CTA project. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing. And then Sarah, I'm guessing there's been a question or two come in. What do we got?
Sure. First question, would CAI's membership fee come out of our HOA funds if we decided to join?
Yes, yeah, those fees should be, we hope in the future that you budget for them. If it's right now and you're at your end of your 2024 budget, maybe you have something left over in professional services, or you didn't spend as much on grounds, but yes, the membership fees come out of the community association's budget. Same with LAC donations. Good question.
We have a question. Please help me understand the charges.
Yeah, so we had to find a service, a third-party service that charges for their service. So if you go to the federal government and try to do this on your own, there's no fee for registering. However, we, nor you, no one, not even yourself, if you went and did that yourself, we do not have any way to see if all the board members have complied. And you don't even have a way to go see what you submitted after you submit it. So the federal government charges no fees, but there's no reporting, no feedback, no oversight of us being able to help you make sure you have 100% compliance as an association. So we went and hired a third-party company. It's called FinCEN Fetch. Correct, Sarah? That's who it is.
Correct.
And they have set up this portal so that we can upload the board members. You can communicate through there. We can track who's up. We cannot see your private information. We can't see your passport, your driver's license, any of the items that can be used, but we can see that it's been submitted to the government through the portal. So it's the cost is related to the price we have to pay to the third-party company and our extra time that we're having to put into this. Once again, we hope it goes away. That would be our ultimate goal.
Just real quick on the fees, a question about the updates. There's the annual charge and then updates.
Yeah, so we tried to find a software solution that would be a one-time fee, but it's not. And these are subscription-based services, and so they have ongoing fees. And so every time there's a change, in the perfect world, which doesn't exist, you have your annual meeting in July, 3 board members change, and you put in the next 3 board members, and it's just the one-time charge. The hard thing is, on our different states in the state Secretary of Commerce or corporate recording, we can get away with updating who the board members are once a year at the annual renewal. Unfortunately, this act has required changes and updates within 30 days of that situation happening. So to keep the service up so that we can track that your driver's license or your passport is expired, or you've moved and changed your address, or whatever it is, we have to have that ongoing subscription, and that's recouping the fee and the time.
Okay, just to clarify, Paul had a question. Are the charges per HOA or per board member?
Oh, per association. Per association. That was also very important to us, that it was important to us that our provider charges per association client and not per individual board member.
Could you review again, Michael, what the problems that can happen for board members if they do not register? What the penalties are?
You bet. Let me put that up. Okay, so the penalties are $500 per day, criminal penalties of up to 2 years of imprisonment, and a fine of up to $10,000. We have not. This is government bureaucracy at its finest. They will not give us clarification on, is this penalty to the individual benefited owner who doesn't comply? So we have a board of 5, 4 comply, 1 doesn't. Are these just for that one person, or are these for the entire board or the association as a whole? Attorneys believe it's to the individual owner, but no one will put that in writing for us on the government side of things. Good question.
We have someone questioning that they've heard that nonprofits are exempt from this requirement, and since their HOA is a nonprofit, they wouldn't need to worry about filing.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Unfortunately, the exemption is for 501c3s, which is United Way, churches, charitable organizations are the ones that are exempt, not nonprofit corporations, everybody. So the Department of Treasury has issued a memo specifically when we called some of these things out, saying that community associations have to file regardless of their nonprofit status. So nonprofit and charitable, the IRS tax code are different things, and community associations. Now, we have a couple community associations that have their owners association tax ID number, and they also have a nonprofit that they run programming through, right? Out of our 600 plus associations, there's 2 that I know of. So just because you're a nonprofit corporation, you're not a charitable organization, and therefore you have to comply with the act. And I've seen that all over too. And people, I'm a CPA. I know, no. I mean, we've gone to the government. The government has straight out told us.
Okay, we have a question about, could this stop a person from being willing to serve? Are we worried about this? What if we do not have enough board members because of this requirement?
Yeah, unfortunately it will. As a member of the board of trustees of CAI, I get emails daily. We're getting, our board members are resigning, and so that is because of this. Not, if I had a per percentage, and I can't track it like that, it's 1 or 2% are resigning. But we're mindful of it, and our lawsuit against the federal government has made mention that these are already volunteers. They're not paid boards. They already take on a lot of liability, and therefore it's a ridiculous request, and it's unnecessary. So yeah, I am worried. If we already struggle to get you good volunteers to serve, and having another thing now. However, though, what it's requiring is the same information you have to give to a bank to open up your personal bank account. It's the same information, right? You have to give, and people scan your driver's license. Geez, I go every time. I don't go to the doctor that often, but every time I go, they want to scan my driver's license and my medical card and put it in their system. So it's not asking for information that we're not used to providing to other entities to prove who we are. I can't I don't know about government security of your information. I just ask that hang in there. Please continue to volunteer, stay on your board, and I really feel like we're going to have an option where next year associations aren't a part of this act. Really hope.
Could a resolution be made to require any board member not complying to be responsible for the penalties?
A what kind of resolution?
A resolution.
Yeah, yeah, that, that's a great idea, and I would do it. I would put together a resolution. What we are seeing, I haven't seen that one necessarily, but what we are seeing is resolutions or like candidate statements that say they'll be civil and they'll represent the best interest of the association and not just of themselves. But it's requiring, and you are saying by signing this or by running for the board that you agree to follow and submit your information. So if you want to put that in a resolution form, we have templates, and your community association can definitely help you with that.
There's a question here about master and sub boards. If you are a member of the sub board and the master board, do you have to register twice?
Yes. Yep. I am part owner. I'm a beneficial owner in 11 companies, and I got to do all 11.
Okay, question about if a board member is registered, does the HOA show up on a personal background check that they're an owner of a business?
I would hope not. I can't make that promise because I don't know what the government's doing with this information. But what they've told us is no, this information's not being used or distributed or given out in any other way or for any other purpose. So my belief is that that is not their intention.
Okay, so then we have several questions about providing the slides and sending them out to everybody so they can educate board members who are not here. And we can definitely do that.
And I think we've talked about, we've recorded this, and in our email communication, we should be able to provide links to the slides and or possibly the recording.
Okay, a couple of questions again about fees just to confirm. So the annual fee to cover, and then reminder of when updates again are required.
Yeah, within 30 days, according to the act, within 30 days of any changes, a board member has resigned, a new board member has been appointed, a board member changed their address. Does it, Sarah, do you remember, does it ask about your phone number? Do you submit your phone number or no?
Ooh. I cannot remember off the top of my head if the phone number is a part of it.
If you are still a continuing board member and any of your contact information and or your document you use to upload to them proving that you are changes, expires, then that within 30 days of that change, you have to update.
And so there's a question on here is if my driver's license expires, is there an update fee related to that? And let me answer that one, Michael, because in several states, when your driver's license expires and you get a new one, your driver's license number remains the same. So if the driver's license number remains the same and it's just an updated date, we do not have to file an update. But if the document ID number changes, so your driver's license number changes or your passport number changes, we do have to file an update.
Okay. So on passport numbers also, no, passport numbers do change every 10 years when you renew. So, but that's if you're, there you go. If your state does not change your driver's license number, which I don't believe most do in our coverage areas, use that form of ID. And so there wouldn't be an update required.
Okay, so again, just reiterate the total cost to register your board, whether it's 3 board members, 5 board members, or 7 board members.
Yeah, $3.95 one-time fee. Doesn't we have some boards that are over 10. Not our favorite. Well, you are our favorite, but we don't, a board with that many people is always tricky. But it's one fee. Yep.
Okay, how secure is the data?
Yeah, that was our number one concern. Our number one concern. My first response was, this is going to suck, but we'll have everyone submit through a form all their information to us, and then we'll go put it in to the website for them. That will save everyone money. We couldn't guarantee the security of your personal documents and information, and so that's why this third-party company, the links that you will use, absolutely secure, and they have an assigned portal arrangement with the government to upload the information directly to the government.
I just want to answer the question, can an association opt out? No, there is no opt-out option. Let's see, question here. We are in the process of trying to get new board members. Does this need to be disclosed before they express willingness to serve?
Yeah, I would remind them that there's this new law, and part of serving on a board is you have to register with the government. If you have elections, I'm just going to read in a little bit more to that question, or just add, if you know you're having elections between now and December 31st, contact us, let us know the date of that meeting, and so that we can track that for you, and we won't submit. I wouldn't want to do the current board members today at the full price and then have to do an update in 3 or 4 weeks. So if you know, but what we also can't do is we can't have 600 associations all coming in on December 30th. We wouldn't be able to do the follow-up that needs to be done. And so, yeah, so if you know you're having an annual meeting between now and the end of the year, let us know.
There's a question about the name of the vendor. So when you get the email, you know it's not a scam. 2 pieces there. It's FinCEN Fetch, but we also have screenshots step by step. And so we will email that out to you from us first, and then you will get the link from FinCEN Fetch. And it will have our logo in it.
And I would think the people's spam collectors, junk mail might get some of those, and so we'll get you the email addresses or the domains that the emails will come from in our communication to you on the 15th, so that you can white label and approve those emails. And that's one reason we're going to be checking every day too, if we're not seeing any movement, so we can reach out to you through other methods.
All right, I'm just scrolling through to see if we've answered these questions. I believe we have. Again, the benefit of using the service and how the reminders work. So I can speak to that if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So that's part of us using the third-party service, was so that we actually have a dashboard and can understand what's going on with each of our communities at any given time. When did they last submit? who were the board members that were last submitted? Do they have expiring documents? Who do we need to reach out to get updated documents? If, as Michael mentioned, if you do this on the FinCEN website, there is no point of reference. There's no report that tells us who you submitted, what documents they submitted, what day you submitted, when you need to resubmit. None of that is trackable without this dashboard. And for us to provide that service to you, we need to have some way to organize it and keep up on it. I think that answers everything else here. Can you please type that? Okay, I'll handle that. Type an answer.
And there's a lot of opportunists out there right now. We're getting about a new company every day saying they're going to do this. We've been working with this vendor for months. They have a proven right that this all went online at the beginning of last year, and so we are using a mature provider in this space. This isn't their first rodeo, and they're going to take great care of all of our clients.
Okay, one question came in about FinCEN IDs. What if you have a FinCEN ID?
Yeah, so you can submit that question earlier, if you're on a master board and the sub board of the same community, or we have some board members that we see are on 5-6 different associations. We appreciate that, some of our board members use us in multiple communities. You can go to the government and get a FinCEN ID, a one-time number. It's kind of like a known traveler number for airlines and for traveling. And they'll give you a number that you can then put in when you're one time and don't have to keep reloading the same information. So if it was me personally, if you were on 2 boards, I want to get a FinCEN ID. If you were on more than 2, 3 or more, yeah, get a FinCEN ID. And then when you get the link, it'll give you that option to submit your ID, the FinCEN ID. It's basically, those of you who travel, it's a known traveler number for this world.
Okay, that I do not have. Oh. Do we have to submit people on committees too, or only the actual named board members?
Yeah, right now, knocking on wood, no committee members unless, that committee member owned 25% or more of the lots in the community. So, and that's boards, we're going to have to get your help. We've got reports and we've run reports. We know which owners own more than 25%, but they don't necessarily come to your board meetings. And so we might need your assistance in reaching out to some of these entities, but we'll be in contact where that is the case.
We have answered all the open questions.
All right, folks. Thank you for slogging through with us this hour on this and the next couple months. It's just another thing. Please don't resign from your board over this. I honestly, deep in my heart, and financially, am committing money through CAI to the attorneys and to fight this. I deep down in my heart feel that there will be a solution that gets community associations out of having to do this, hopefully by this time next year, if not sooner. And that's our hope and our desire. And in 6 years, we'll all be at the bar having drinks and laughing about, you remember that CTA back in 2024? I hope it's that way. But for now, we found a great solution for you. It's secure. It will remind us. It'll keep everyone out of prison, no fines, and it'll be easy. It's easy and friendly to use. You're welcome to go to FinCEN's government website and just click on a couple buttons and see how complicated, if you do it directly through them, is. And remember, you won't even get an email back saying you're registered personally, let alone the rest of your board and your association. We appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you for attending. If there's any more questions you have or anything else we can answer, please let us know. Otherwise, have a good evening. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon.